It was actually a hobby of mine, making a fast car for traveling.
This man is a pioneer of the car business, Ferdinand Anton Ernst Porsche, known as Ferry. He created an icon among automobiles, the Porsche 356. This legendary vehicle was built shortly after the Second World War. It's the forefather of the sports car family, a worldwide symbol for a sports car driving as well as German workmanship. And the name Porsche becomes known around the world. The name Porsche was already a household word before the war because of Ferdinand Porsche, Ferry's father. He was a well-known and respected car designer who held top positions with Daimler, Mercedes and Steyr. There he invented and designed many car projects, and in addition he also drove in car races. Ferry is born in 1909 in Vienna's New Town. His childhood is shaped by his strict, almost authoritarian and yet very loving father, as well as being surrounded in an automotive environment.
I can remember very well that my father, for whom the car was of course everything, tried to teach me about cars from when I was just a small boy. And one day during summer holidays, he came home in a new car and had me sit on his lap. I tried to steer the car, which was difficult. And as bad luck would have it, I had toy cars where the steering was the other way round. My father said, "And now turn right." And I turned to the left and ran into a fence, smashing up the wing. And that was just the worst that could happen for my father, driving in a car that wasn't in a perfect condition.
But Ferdinand Porsche is not only a strict father, but also a manager who prefers to make independent decisions. So in 1931, he founded his own design company in Stuttgart.
My father recognized that this productivity was so vast that within 2 or 3 years in the company he had set up enough of a foundation that the company could live from it for 10 years. And the companies then saved on expenses by not renewing his contract. And he said to himself, "How do I manage that? Every time I put down the foundation, I can leave again. It's better if I open my own office and work for everyone."
The range of activities of Porsche's small team encompasses the whole spectrum of car engineering. Ferry Porsche is there from the start as the youngest worker and is included in all projects. One of his teachers, Dr. Karl Rabe, long-term employee of Ferdinand Porsche. In 1934, after many successfully completed contracts for the car industry, Ferdinand Porsche won the bid for a very special project, the development and production of a German everyman's car, or Volkswagen. A contract which was not well received by the established German car makers, yet it was precisely this reaction that challenged and inspired Ferdinand and Ferry Porsche. They get to work developing a small, light and cheap car, which after the war transforms into the Beetle and becomes a worldwide hit.
When we were building the first Porsche car back in Gmünd, of course we had worries about what the future of this car would be. And amongst other things, we rebuilt a VW engine as a diesel, which worked very well. We rebuilt one as an electric car. But these projects were just ahead of their time. For example, today such developments are very well executed, and we were just 30 years too early with our ideas.
The development of the Volkswagen is filled with difficulties and a mad rush. The schedule is as much of a problem as the costs. They not only need to design, but to calculate. They have to stick to a preset price of 990 Reichsmarks. Principles are left behind. Ferry Porsche is fully involved in the project. As test manager, he is responsible for overcoming the many hurdles that lay in the way of production. This means he plays a big role in making the project a success. Originally, it's planned that the Volkswagen will be built by a collective of German car makers, but this plan is changed by the authorities. In May of 1937, Porsche GmbH gets the contract to build a VW plant in Wolfsburg. Because of the responsibility of this complicated project, Ferdinand and especially Ferry Porsche are elevated to automobile producers. The need for management is greater than designing cars. This includes a huge responsibility for the many workers who are hired for this new assignment. And yet, ideas for new projects continue, even during this time.
There was supposed to be a race around Berlin, and in September, just after the war had started. Of course, this was cancelled, and we had built 3 VWs with streamlined bodies to take part in the race. In these cars we saw what you can do with such a small vehicle, an inexpensive and lightweight body, a light metal body and so forth. And that was the opportunity after the war. Not to concentrate on a VW chassis, but a self-supporting body, an opportunity to build the first Porsche.
The first Porsche 356 was built in the Austrian community of Gemond in 1948, the so-called Gemond Coupe. Beneath the stylish aluminium body are hidden almost exclusively parts from Volkswagen. The 35-horsepower mid-engine roadster can get up to 135 km per hour at a weight of only 585 kilos. Starting with the Type 2, first built by the bodyworks company Reuter in Stuttgart. A change is made to steel bodies and the motor is transplanted to the rear of the car. The sudden death of his father in January of 1951 is a harsh blow for Ferry Porsche. He becomes the managing director of the firm Porsche overnight. And this firm develops like most businesses at this time surprisingly well. The order book is full, and at first the production must make a huge effort to fill them. Month after month, more and more people are infected with Porsche fever. No one knows better than Herbert Linger, the company's oldest employee, how the early days were characterized so much by problems and hurdles of all types.
And the first car was finished on Whitsun, I think 1951. 7 of us were in the workshop. We put the car together and took a test drive. And it's interesting that for this test drive, the only car available was Ferry's car. It was the only car that we had. And it was Ferry Porsche's company car as well as a test vehicle. New tests were made on that car during the day and at night. Ferry drove home in it. On the weekends, we used it as a test vehicle. It was a very close relationship because we discussed all problems and all difficulties that we had from the start. Mr. Porsche was always there. We often said Porsche is a family company. But these weren't just words, we really lived it. He also asked about the personal lives of his workers. I can remember well that he was there for every birthday. Even in later years, Ferry Porsche was there in person, at every celebration that I ever saw at the Porsche factory. He was at every birthday party. You couldn't take that away from him, and he really kept up personal relations with every employee. Immer mit dabei, also hat sich das nicht nehmen lassen, hat die Verbindung wirklich zu allen Mitarbeitern gepflegt.
In spite of a heavy workload, Ferry Porsche was also a loving father and family man. He raised 4 sons, Ferdinand Alexander, Gerhard, Hans-Peter and Wolfgang, with the vital support of his wife Dorothea, and later integrated them into the company. Social concerns were always very important to him as the boss of so many workers. He always treated his employees with fairness and respect. He was known for his friendly manner with people and his quiet and modest character.
Ich kannte Ferry Porsche persönlich sehr gut, familiär.
I personally knew Ferry Porsche very well,
Nach meinem Eintritt
privately as well as professionally.
familiär deshalb, weil
Professionally, after my start at Porsche in 1955.
und mein Vater Karl Rabe ja der Chefkonstrukteur.
Privately, because his father, Ferdinand Porsche, was my goduncle, and my father, Karl Rabe, was the chief designer at Porsche until 1965, when he retired. And that's why I had very frequent discussions with Ferry Porsche. We were also often at the Porsche's villas in the Feuerbacher Weg, Schüttgut, or in Gmünd, Kärnten, when they were moving the factory.
Auch in der Villa Porsche am Feuerbacher Weg oder im Schüttgut oder in Gmünd, Kärnten während der Verlagerung.
And that's how I know that Ferry Porsche was a very socially orientated person. And that was also confirmed by my work at Porsche from 1955.
Durch meine berufliche Tätigkeit bei
I was the manager of the social affairs department and always had to keep Ferry abreast of the company's social concerns. Ferry Porsche wanted there to be no difference between the blue-collar workers and the administrative staff.
Ferry Porsche wollte keine Unterschiede zwischen
We started company retirement plans very early on. We were already paying sick leave from 1956, and from 1960 we paid for the both blue-collar and white-collar workers.
eingeführt. Und wir haben schon seit
We paid a 13th month of salary per year as a Christmas bonus.
sowohl für gewerbliche Mitarbeiter als auch für Angestellte. Und wir haben
These were all social benefits that didn't exist at the same level in any other companies.
Weihnachtsgeld. Also das waren alles soziale Angelegenheiten, die es in anderen Firmen in diesem Maßstab nicht gab.
Next to his social concerns, there was another topic that was very important to Ferry Porsche. Environmental protection and the use of resources. He insisted that his workers follow all environmental protection measures as closely as possible, and he expected to be kept well informed on the progress in this area with regular reports.
Der Grundgedanke war,
The principal idea was that we shouldn't use the resources that only have a limited world supply in such a way that we just throw them away afterwards, but that we either lengthen the time of use or recycle. In other words, the material can be used again, so that we don't waste valuable resources and then throw them out. We called this project Long Life Car. We did have some considerations, let's say in the details, as to how we could promote not only increasing the lifetime, but also reusing the materials.
Wie gesagt, nicht nur eine lange Lebensdauer, sondern auch eine Wiederverwendung des Materials begünstigen kann.
The Porsche company continued to grow and flourish over the next few years due to the many customers around the world who wanted to own, more importantly, drive a Porsche. Driving a Porsche was seen as in. The society of the beautiful and rich were captivated by the chic sports car from Zuffenhausen. Whether it was a saloon car, cabriolet or coupe, a 4x4 or turbo, Porsche became a status symbol. Porsche drivers from all 4 corners of the world met to congratulate the big boss on his birthday. It was Ferry Porsche's 75th, an honour for an extraordinary person and a brilliant car designer. Porsche's success is due to, amongst other things, Ferry Porsche's visionary inspiration. He knew how to read the signs of the times and recognise market changes. He felt at the end of the 50s that it was time for a new model that could replace the somewhat technically outdated and out-of-date Model 356. Despite some resistance from within his own ranks, by 1963 it had come so far and the Porsche 911 came onto the market. It was technically and aesthetically different from its predecessors, and the business risk became a success. Ferry Porsche had correctly anticipated the potential of the 911 concept, and he was proud that his opinion was vindicated in the end.